What if North Korea and South Korea went to war, right now? The stakes are global, with superpowers like the US and China ready to be pulled in. For over 70 years, these two countries have been locked in a tense standoff. But what if it all exploded today? Millions of lives, cities, and the world order hang in the balance. We're breaking down the first 10 hours of a hypothetical war, hour by hour, from the first missile launch to the mobilization of millions. This is not a prediction but a deep dive into what could happen in one of the world's most volatile regions. The clock is ticking. Let's start hour 1. The war erupts without warning. North Korea unleashes the largest artillery barrage in history, targeting Seoul, just 35 miles from the border. Thousands of shells rain down, aiming to cause mass panic and cripple South Korea's response. Simultaneously, hundreds of North Korean missiles target South Korean and U.S. military bases, airfields, and command centers. South Korea's air defenses, Patriot and THAAD, spring into action, intercepting as many missiles as possible, but the sheer volume overwhelms them. North Korean special forces infiltrate using tunnels, submarines, and low-flying planes, aiming to assassinate leaders and sabotage infrastructure. Chaos engulfs the peninsula. Seoul burns, military bases are hit, and casualties mount into the thousands within the first hour. South Korea's defenses hold, but they're under immense pressure. North Korea's opening move is brutal, designed for a knockout blow. The question: can South Korea recover and strike back? The next hour will decide the fate of the peninsula. The world watches as the first hour ends. The war has only just begun. With the initial strikes over, the battle for air superiority begins. South Korea scrambles F-35s, F-15s, and KF-21s to hunt down North Korean launchers and artillery. North Korea's Air Force, flying outdated MiGs, is no match in quality but tries to overwhelm with numbers. Waves of North Korean jets force South Korea to expend precious missiles, hoping to deplete their defenses. Both sides launch cruise missiles at each other's airfields, trying to ground enemy planes. Ground crews work frantically to keep runways open under constant attack. The sky becomes a chaotic mess of dogfights and missile trails. South Korea dominates in quality, but their resources are stretched thin. North Korea's sacrificial tactics take a toll, turning the air war into a brutal war of attrition. The battle for the skies is far from over. Every minute, the stakes rise higher. The outcome will shape the rest of the war. As jets clash above, a silent war rages online. North Korea's elite hackers launch massive cyber attacks, crashing government sites, banks, and media to sow confusion. Malware and ransomware target South Korea's power grid, aiming to plunge the country into darkness. South Korea's cyber defenders scramble to contain the damage, patching vulnerabilities and hunting malware. It's a relentless digital battle. Every system secured is another under attack. South Korea retaliates, targeting North Korea's command networks to disrupt military coordination. Communication failures spread, leaving soldiers and civilians in the dark. The digital fog of war deepens the chaos on the ground. Power outages and broken links cripple both sides' ability to fight and respond. By hour 3, the cyber war is as fierce as the battles outside. The line between physical and digital warfare blurs. The stakes have never been higher. While armies clash, civilians are caught in the crossfire. In Seoul, bomb shelters overflow as artillery rains down. Subway stations and garages become makeshift refugees. Emergency services are overwhelmed. Fires rage and the wounded wait for help. Cyber attacks disrupt communication, spreading fear and misinformation. Outside Seoul, panic triggers a mass exodus. Highways jammed, blocking both civilians and military convoys. In North Korea, the response is total mobilization. Civilians are put to work, militias form, and propaganda blares. The contrast is stark. South Korea reels in chaos. North Korea rallies in lockstep. By hour 4, the human cost is staggering. The divide between open society and totalitarian state is on full display. Civilians on both sides face a nightmare. The war is no longer just military. It's a humanitarian disaster. The world watches in horror. The war spreads to the sea. North Korea sends swarms of patrol boats armed with anti-ship missiles, aiming to overwhelm South Korea's advanced navy. South Korean destroyers and frigates form a defensive wall, picking off attackers with superior technology. North Korea deploys dozens of submarines, laying mines and hunting for targets. South Korea and US forces launch massive anti-submarine operations, but the shallow, noisy waters make detection difficult. The surface battle is brutal. North Korean boats are sunk, but the submarine threat grows. Underwater, North Korean subs threaten shipping lanes and could blockade South Korea. The sea becomes a new, unpredictable front. Naval dominance is contested above and below the waves. By R5, the maritime war is just beginning. The outcome could decide supply lines and the fate of the peninsula. The stakes at sea are as high as on land. By hour 6, the world is on edge. The US, bound by treaty, mobilizes instantly. Troops, carriers, and bombers rush to Korea. The president vows unwavering support for South Korea. China, fearing chaos on its border, calls for a ceasefire, but quietly mobilizes troops near North Korea. Beijing warns, do not cross into the north, or face intervention. Japan and Europe raise alerts. The UN is paralyzed by US-China rivalry. Global markets crash, oil prices soar. The regional war threatens to become a global crisis. The US and China are on a collision course. The fate of the Korean peninsula could reshape the world order. Every hour the risk of escalation grows. The world holds its breath. Hour 7. North Korea's massive army surges across the DMZ. Human wave attacks and old tanks push towards Seoul, aiming to overwhelm South Korean defenses. The DMZ is a deadly kill zone. Mines, traps, and artillery tear into the advancing forces. South Korea's advanced tanks and anti-tank missiles devastate North Korean armor. The K-2 Black Panther and K-9 howitzers dominate the battlefield. North Korea pays a horrific price for every inch gained. The advance slows, but the pressure is relentless. The battle for Seoul begins in earnest. The ground war is a brutal, grinding fight. The outcome hangs in the balance. Hour 8. The war targets infrastructure. North Korea launches missiles at power plants and bridges, aiming to plunge South Korea into darkness and chaos. Blackouts cripple hospitals, water, and communications. Destroyed bridges trap civilians and block reinforcements. South Korea and US forces retaliate, striking North Korean supply lines and command centers. The goal: paralyze the enemy's military and leadership. Both sides' cities go dark, and supply lines are severed. The war is now a battle of systems. Who collapses first? The front lines blur as the entire nation becomes a target. The struggle for survival intensifies. 9 hours in, the war teeters on a knife's edge. North Korea's initial shock campaign has failed. South Korea, with US support, fights back fiercely. Desperate, North Korea may threaten nuclear escalation, a nightmare scenario. The US and South Korea scramble to monitor and neutralize any nuclear threat. Special forces may attempt to eliminate North Korean leadership before a launch order. Alternatively, the war could grind into a bloody stalemate, trench warfare, artillery duels, and daily carnage. Both sides dig in, testing endurance and willpower. The outcome depends on which side breaks first, manpower or technology. The world watches, fearing nuclear catastrophe or endless attrition. The next hour could change everything. Change. 10 hours in, who's losing? North Korea's human wave tactics and outdated equipment have led to catastrophic losses. Tens of thousands dead, hundreds of tanks and planes destroyed. South Korea and the US have suffered, but their losses are far lower. North Korea has gained a small foothold in the south, but at an unsustainable cost. Their advance has stalled. Seoul remains in South Korean hands. The strategic initiative has shifted. North Korea's forces are bogged down, their air force and navy crippled, and command systems in disarray. US reinforcements continue to arrive, and South Korea's industry gears up for a long fight. North Korea's chance for a quick victory is gone. The war is now about how long they can hold out, and at what cost. The peninsula is devastated, but North Korea is clearly losing. The world braces for what comes next. The true cost is only beginning to emerge. 10 hours of war, unimaginable destruction, thousands dead, cities burning, and the world on edge. North Korea's gamble has failed, but both sides pay a horrifying price. This scenario is a warning. The real cost of war is measured in human lives. We hope peace and diplomacy always prevail on the Korean peninsula. What do you think would happen next? Let us know in the comments. If you found this breakdown informative, like and subscribe for more deep dives. Thanks for watching.